What is the deal with plot armor? Yes, hello. Angron's calmest son, and today we're talking about the one thing that's going to piss off every power scaler in existence. It's going to piss off everybody. Can Gilliman beat Goku? No, we're not talking about that. So, Angron's calmest son, again, if I forgot to mention that, we're talking about plot armor, and essentially, is it good or is it bad? It's a fun argument to be had, and it's something that is always on my mind. If you've seen any of my past videos, I kind of always try to bring it up because it is fun for me. I see it's a very even split decision. People either don't mind it or hate it. I don't really see a lot of people for it, but personally, I'm for it, and I'm gonna tell you why. Plot armor works, right? When it's done well. So let's bring up some notable characters. Let's say Lucius the Eternal. Let's put up Gilliman up in there. And who else? Who would I say is pretty much untouchable right now? Maybe Cato, Sicarius, Those are three. I'm sure I can bring up a lot more. Any named characters, essentially, protected in a way, right? This isn't like Game of Thrones where every major character is going to die. There's a time and a place for that, but most of the time, if the Space Marine doesn't have a helmet, you could very much assume they're gonna live. But plot armor is really fun. Lucius is a really good example of this because a lot of people get really angry at the fact that he just keeps coming back and back. One, most people don't realize that that's a curse, right? Lucius is not blessed. He might think he's blessed, and the other Emperor's children might think he's blessed, but he's not. Every time somebody kills him, takes pleasure in it, we all know, and if you don't, I'm, laying it down for you. He comes back in your body, and then kind of it becomes his body, but then you get molded into his armor, right? The armor is constantly filled with the faces of everyone who's killed him, and they constantly mock him, berate him, and scream at him, and it does wear him down significantly. Yes, he's a narcissistic, murderer who's been alive for 10,000 years. He was a veteran of the Horus Heresy. The dude can back up his skills, and if you've read Lucius the Faultless Blade or any of his stories that he's involved in, pretty apparent the dude still is very much skilled, but obviously those skills have degraded due to him just knowing he's going to come back. But people also don't realize, if you've read the books, he's hinted at the fact that I think Slaanesh is getting extremely bored with him, and it's getting harder and harder for him to come back, right? That's plot armor done well. We leave the narrative there where he still has the options to come back, but if the popularity's fading and they want to make room for a new character, it ebbs and flows and goes down. It works, all right? It's not something to just, go, the writers are being lazy. They just want to put on their own power fantasies. Hell yeah, some of them do. I ain't going to deny that. If I was an author and I had a character I liked, I'd probably be doing that too. Good thing I'm not an author. But it's good when it works, right? When it doesn't work is, let's say, how I mentioned Gilliman. Let's just kind of do the whole Ultramarines as a whole. Now, I wasn't a fan, and I didn't start reading when people were complaining that, our Blue Boys were basically unstoppable, unbeatable, doing the most craziest, unheard of things ever, and were getting away with pretty much decimating every character they had in the setting. Obviously, they're the poster boys of the Imperium. They should have their moment to shine, and they do have a lot of moments to shine. But when it comes to that, and when they're decimating every faction they come across in outlandish ways, then plot armor sucks. And then it's kind of awful, and it's boring, and it doesn't make for good stories, and it doesn't make for good characters. So you can't really balance it out. I love plot armor because, like I said, Lucius works. You know who else really works? Gilliman. Gilliman is a great example of it because he can't really die right now. Bringing him to the setting makes it more interesting. The Imperium's not imploding on itself. Even bringing back the Lion makes it interesting, although I'm not the biggest fan of Primarchs returning, but that's a whole other video, and a lot of other people have talked about that. I'm not going to talk about that here today. But these two Primarchs make it interesting. They can't be killed right now. They can't really be... They can be hindered. They can be temporarily beaten, but they're never going to die, and they're never going to be defeated in such a major way that it fundamentally changes the setting, or, that there's a time and a place for that, right? They don't die, and it makes the story interesting. It forwards the setting as a whole. You can shit on plot armor all you want, but it absolutely does positively impact the setting. Without it, we would not have characters really show up and wouldn't be as entertaining. The whole campaign we have right now would not be entertaining. The Indominus Crusade and, you know, the Arcs of Omen, that wouldn't happen if the lion was still asleep, or if the lion died when Luther kind of did his chaos, you know, mumbo jumbo on him. That wouldn't have happened. This setting would not look like what it does today if these characters didn't have preferential treatment, all right? I understand the grimdark argument, but that shit's not fun. It's fun in isolated stories where you really get to see the deep depravity of the setting, but it's not fun when your characters who literally have cult followings just die, okay? I understand the argument, and I'm sure someone much more intelligent than me can be in the comments and say, well, Connor, you're wrong, and quite frankly, delete your channel because I'm Angron's Comus to Sun. You know, it's a fine argument to make, but I feel like I have some pretty good confidence in my argument. I love plot armor. Plot armor, 99% of the time, is really, really good. And I still don't think plot armor, the way that people ascribe it to their characters, even makes sense, because plot armor is like your character never gets beaten. I'm sorry. Karn has been beaten before. Lucius has been beaten before. Ahriman perpetually beats himself, and Tzeentch loves it. And Typhus is constantly probably also not really winning very much. Let's count the Plague Wars. Is damage done? Yes. These characters can and do and should be beaten. They are. They just won't die. But you don't need the character to die, you know. Them getting defeated isn't, you know, is plot armor working. You get to see them kind of be grounded in the setting and not like the Ultramarines were in a couple years ago where they were unstoppable. Now everyone has tangible moments where they're the biggest and baddest, and then when they're beaten, except AdMech. AdMech, you know, Mechanicus does not get any time to shine, in my opinion. Even in their own books, they kind of get absolutely dog-walked by whoever's even remotely involved. But, you know, that's pretty much it, y'all. This is a conversation I like to have, and I would love to hear your thoughts. Are you for plot armor, against plot armor, or are you stuck in the middle like me where you like it until it's done pretty shittily? Let me know. I love hearing what you guys have to say, and that's pretty much it. If you watched the whole video, thank you so much. Almost at 250 subscribers, halfway to 500. You know what happens if I get to 500? I paint those orcs, so if we get there, it's really appreciated. If you like the content and you want to subscribe, I really do appreciate it. I love talking about Warhammer with y'all. So without further ado, the video is over, and I will see you all next time.